feeling a fucking shit ton of anxiety, a lot of emotional pain, and that's what happens is we have these core wounds that are created as we tell ourselves these stories when we're growing up that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, nobody will ever love us, whatever those stories are. And when something in life starts to trigger those, I used to call them old traumas, but I feel more like it's a story that we told ourselves about the trauma. Because a lot of traumatic things can happen to us, and we don't store the story. We can go through a lot of things without it trapping us. So I'm seeing more and more that it's actually the stories that we believe to be true and that we carry forward throughout the rest of our lives is what's actually trapping us. And again, I'm not an expert on this. If I'm right, great. If I'm not, that's fine too. But what I continue to do is sit down and talk about this, because every time I talk about it, I understand it on a deeper level, and I'm experiencing it as we're going through this. And that's where I share what I share from. It is my experiences, not from what I'm like. I don't try to learn about this stuff. I don't read other people's books. I don't watch other people's videos. I haven't for years, because I really am committed to, meditating every day and really connecting to the place where I feel that I get my guidance from, which is the higher power, higher self, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, after we were talking the other day about the subconscious mind and how it learns from our experiences as we grow up, I had this really cool, I wouldn't call it a vision, it was just this inner knowing. And what I really felt was me going back to my childhood from this perspective of observer, and really sitting there with a paper and a pen and really watching, how my parents treated one another, how I was treated. And what I saw was this little girl like, okay, so I did this and I did this and I did this, and I still didn't get my dad's attention today. So I need to try harder. I need to do more. And I'm not here to blame. We're definitely not here to blame our parents, because they were living from their own core wounds, from, trauma stories that they told themselves about their trauma. But if we don't talk about it and we don't start to look at it, we're denying ourselves the opportunity to heal it. So, just like I said in part one of the biggest things that we do that is actually so harmful is pretending that we're okay. And pretending you're okay means you don't say, fuck, I'm having a hard day. Because when you say those things, the people in your life are like, really? Well, do you need a hug? Do you need to talk? What do you need? And to me, the word heal means hold them, encourage them, accept them, and love them. And so when we're pretending we're okay, we are not being given that from the people that love us. We're not giving it to ourselves either. But the cool thing is if we're pretending everything was okay, then we're denying ourselves the opportunity to now dive into, well, what happened when I was a kid? Why am I acting the way I am now? Because everything is an inside job. Everything that's going on in your life is a result of what happened to you as a child and what you're continuing to believe you deserve. You expect to receive what you believe you deserve, and you will continue to receive what you believe you deserve. If you continue to get into these relationships where people aren't interested in you or rejecting you or hurting you or harming you, it's because you believe you deserve that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be getting into that relationship But you learned that somewhere. You learned it somewhere. How did your mom and dad treat one another? How did they treat themselves? How did others treat them? And how were you treated? This is just the tip of the iceberg, I'm sure, but those are some pretty core places to go to start to recognize, like, I get it. I get it. My dad was always busy. My mom and dad didn't get along. I was always trying to get love and appreciation and attention. Like I said, I wanted to be held. I wanted to be encouraged. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be loved. But my parents were living in their own fears and lacks and limits, just like everyone else. We've all had that experience. And so now it's time to be like, well, what the fuck actually happened? And we're not doing this to throw our parents under the bus or judge them or blame them. Like I said, we're not here to complain. We're not here to get stuck in victim. But if we never look at it, we're never going to heal it. It's like you're burying it under the fucking sidewalk and you're walking all over it, and it's kicking up and poisoning your whole backyard. I'm trying to think on the top of my head. I've never used this analogy before. But it's poisoning your water, it's poisoning your garden, it's poisoning everything in your fucking backyard, in your life, so now you're feeding it to your kids. This is actually a really good analogy. I've never used it before, like I said. It's poisoning everything, and you're like, fuck, I gotta kill these weeds. I have to treat this well and put more chemical in it so that the water's not poison anymore. And that's what we're doing in our life. It's like, well, I need to leave this relationship. Well, this person is the problem. That's the problem. And we're never actually sitting and asking, what the fuck am I carrying? What am I believing I'm deserving? What am I seeking for? What am I searching for? What am I doing? And a really huge part of this is that we're all afraid to say that our parents fucked up sometimes. And I mean, I have fucked up as a parent multiple, like many fucking times. Many times. And I eventually healed it and talked to my kids about it. I always wanted my kids to know that when I was acting like that, I was out of control. I was out of control. I was trying to control you because I wasn't in control. I was overreacting. I was yelling. I was doing these things because I was not in control. I always want my kids to know that so that they don't carry this wound of what is wrong with me? Why was she yelling? Why was she saying those things? Why was she doing those things? I don't want my kids to ever feel like it's their fault or it was their fault. But for many, many reasons, our parents are not going to do that with us. Number one, because they don't even know that they did that wrong. And so, like, I'm not going to try to figure out why our parents do the things that they do or why they didn't do the things that they did. But the important thing to realize here is if we don't dig up that shit in the backyard, it's going to poison everything. And that's what's happening in our hearts and in our minds. I believe that trauma, or the stories that we tell ourselves, the things that we believe to be true, I believe that that's stored on all of our cells in our body, and that's where our health and our happiness starts. And when we can start digging that stuff up and really looking at it, that is when we start to heal. And that is what we're doing together, because when we're healing, we're not just healing on a physical level. We're not just healing on one level. Anytime you're healing, it's a physical, it's an emotional, it's a spiritual, it's a mental job. It all works together. So when we're starting to look at what happened when we were children and why we do the things that we do, why we believe the things that we do, when we're really, really looking at that, we're really healing it. Which means when we're healing it, we're believing different things. And when we believe different things, we accept different things. And like I said, we did the inner child work the other day. And holy shit, I cannot believe how much healing has been happening in the last few days. And healing is painful. I'll tell you that right now. It's painful because what happens is these emotions that we have suppressed all of these years are starting to come out because they want to speak to us. Our inner child wants to tell us that it's sad, that it's lonely, that it's not being well taken care of. And now it's time to start to listen. And it's like, holy shit, I didn't want to feel sad, so I stuffed her down. I didn't want to feel afraid, so I stuffed her down. We don't want to feel these things, so we numb them in so many different ways. And you can numb all you want, or you can heal. Because on the other side of the healing is where you start to live. Feeling life means you're living life. Numbing life means you're hiding from life, and you're hiding from life. You are struggling, you're surviving, but you're not thriving. And I would have to say, like I said, I've been doing this for 19 years. And I go through phases. I go through phases where I'm just like, I feel so fucking powerful, and I feel so, held by God, by the universe. I feel so, like life is purposeful and meaningful. And I do my deep meditations every day, and I feel so much gratitude, and I feel so much joy, and I feel so much peace and love. But I go through these phases like I'm going through right now where I'm like, holy fuck, I am feeling so much anxiety, like so much anxiety, which is telling me something's not in alignment. And a lot of times things are out of alignment because we're not spending time in the moment. But also when we start to spend time in the moment, those things are being kicked up. So it's a much more beautiful thing when you're doing it with awareness, because you know there's a purpose to it, you know there's a point to it, you know there's an other side to it. I call this fuckery. I actually wrote a book called The Other Side of Fuckery. And to me, these stories that we're believing, these thoughts that we're telling ourselves that are not based in truth, that to me is fuckery. And it's been programmed through our lifetime. And that's why I say our job is to free the fuckery. And the book was The Other Side of Fuckery. But in order to get to the other side, I had to face it. I had to get angry about it. I had to get sad about it. Like, we have to be present with it and to it in order to really, like I said, heal it and free it and get to the other side of it. And I, right now, am in the middle of a big fucking, like, there is nothing going on in my life. There's nothing negative happening in my life. Nothing scary, nothing. But there's a shit ton of healing going on, and I can feel it. I shouldn't say there's nothing going on. The way that this is showing up in my life right now is in relationships. I am recognizing that I've been spending 10.5 months with someone, and he has been really, really incredible to have in my life, because he's helping me heal so much of this. Because I'm seeing it. I am, really, I've been making videos about how I realize how I am the avoidant. I am the person fucking running all the time. But on the other side of that, I also realize, that, so there's that, there's the avoidant part, but there's also the anxious part where I always feel this clinging to someone. I need them in my life in order to make me happy. when a man shows up, it's like, I need this. So there's that, those behaviors. And also the running behaviors. Like, you know what? It gets to a point where I feel really close and things are going great. And then I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't feel the same way. Like, what's the fucking point? What is the fucking point of this? And then I run. I'm like, you know what? This isn't going to work. I don't want to talk anymore. Then I stop talking to him. And then he always comes back. But another part of this, too, is that he has never wanted a relationship. But he wants me in his life. He wants to hold my hand. He wants to cuddle with me on the couch. He wants to call me every day. He wants to come and see me. He wants to laugh. But he doesn't want to commit. So there's that. And I've spent so much time in the last 10.5 months trying to see, where is it my shit? Where is it his? Is this healthy for me? Is it not? So long story short, it's been very, very healing for me because I continue to see things, I continue to address them, I continue to talk about it with him, and I continue to heal. But what has been happening, like I said, I did part 1 a few days ago, and that really kicked up a lot of healing for me. And the vision that I had, like I said, was this little girl. Like, I just imagine myself back as a child taking notes of why Dad didn't spend time with me or appreciate me. Like, why was I always doing more and more and more to try to get my dad's love but never getting it? And why was my mom, again, we're not here to blame our parents, we're here to just open this shit up so that we can start to heal it, otherwise we'll never heal it. Why was my mom always upset? Why were they never connected? Why were they never loving each other? Why was there always this rejection thing happening? And when I was really sitting with that, like I said, I imagined myself taking notes. And then I started to imagine the brain as this note taker. It's like, oh, okay, so when you're in a relationship with a man, like, try and try and try and try. Do everything you possibly can to make sure that you get his love. If this doesn't work, do this. If that doesn't work, do that. Like, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, and keep trying. And those were the notes that were being taken as we grew up. What did you have to do in order to make sure that there was peace in the family? What made people happy in the family? Was it when they were drinking? Was it when they were smoking? Was it when they were doing drugs? Was it when they were way too busy? Was it when they were, giving everything up for money? Like, I'm these are not all examples for my family, but there are so many fucking ways people reach for things to make them feel better that are not healthy, like overeating, eating shitty food, not exercising. But when did you get into trouble? Did you get into trouble for laughing and playing and making a mess and having fun? Like, I always let my daughter make slime all the time. There are people in my life that do not allow slime or glitter or paint or anything near their house. And I was always like, kids want to make a fucking mess. Like, yeah, it's messy and then you got to clean it up, but kids want to make a mess. And it was stressful for me because I was a real control freak also. But I did continue to work through that because it's like, what is the fun of being a kid if you can't fucking throw glitter around and paint and make slime and run in the mud and roll in the mud? But like, how much trouble did you get in for doing those things? When mom spent money, was it celebrated or was she in trouble? Was mom able to rest? Like, and the same thing with dad. Like, there can be, like, there's just, like I said, there are so many different things that we experienced growing up, and we all experience different things. That's why I'm trying to think of examples from, how other people's parents would have been. But what we're here to share, or what I'm here to share, is it's a real fucking thing. And if you continue to feel rejected, some people are going to be like, I never want to feel rejected, and I'm going to make sure that I get a real clingy husband so that I never feel rejected again, right? So they're going to take that way of living. There's a word that I'm looking for and I can't think of it. And then other people are going to be like, okay, so like here's the part of this that we were talking about with the inner child the other day, that we don't feel good enough. So if we don't feel good enough, we're always going to, like I said, we're going to pretend that everything's okay, or we're going to hide, right? We're going to be the people that are always hiding, and lots of times we fall into a depression, and that allows us to hide from the world, and that serves a purpose. Not all depression, I'm not a doctor, not an expert, but I would say a lot of depression comes from us feeling not good enough. So when we're depressed, that gives us the opportunity to hide. I'm actually kind of feeling like I haven't been feeling good emotionally these last couple weeks, where I'm feeling anxious, like a little bit depressed. And what I feel like is, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go for walks. I don't want to sit down and make these videos. But what I also know is the things that make me feel the best are not hiding. Like going to the gym, making these videos, going for walks with my dog. Those are the things that make me feel better. But I've also noticed in the last few weeks that there is a really huge part of me trying to sabotage that. And so I haven't gone to the gym. I haven't been going for my walks. I haven't been consistently making videos. And I'm spiraling. And so I'm sharing this because, like I said, we can choose to hide, or there's another part of it where it's like we're pretending everything is okay. And, we can choose to be the people that are withholding love, like one of our parents did, and making sure that we're with partners that are always trying to get love from us, right? Or we can be the person who's always feeling rejected and then attracted to partners who always reject us. So there's no black and white, there's no yes and no, there's no cut and dry of how, our belief systems work. But this is why I continue to talk about my journey, and I hope a bunch of people can keep talking about theirs, is because we're all going to have a different experience of life. So I'm going to talk about this more from the perspective of a woman who is always in relationships with people who reject her. Always. Because I don't feel good enough. And what I realized these last couple days is I've got this little note taker. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. I'm addicted to being rejected. I'm addicted to trying to get love. So if I were to be in a relationship with someone who was really in love with me, I don't know what the fuck I would do. Probably run. Right? But because I'm committed to healing all the time, I would sit and heal it. But what I'm recognizing is that this person that I've been spending time with, like I've been talking about, he's a really good person. I was in a really unhealthy marriage. There was a lot of there was no physical abuse. There was a lot of mental and emotional abuse. A lot. And I'm not saying, like, when we met, I was having a lot of emotional and mental problems. So did I start it and then he finished it? I don't fucking know. I'm not here to blame anybody. I'm not here to blame my ex-husband. I'm not here to blame myself. But I'm here to share that it was very traumatizing to be in that relationship. And from that space, I started to believe that I just was always afraid of men. And so there were always creepy men around me. There were always assholes around me, controlling, mean, you know. And then I meet someone who's nice and safe, who would never call me a name, who would never be mean, who was never even mad at me for 10.5 months, even though, like I said, I ran from him how many times. It was like, oh my fucking God, I'm safe. Like, I am safe in this person's arms. And it was just like this amazing thing. And then it was like, he never calls me names. He never shames me. He doesn't say I'm disgusting. You know, like, he doesn't say mean things to me. He doesn't hurt my feelings. And so then what started to happen is I put him on this pedestal of, I love this guy. Like, I love this guy. Even though he doesn't want to be in a relationship with me, I love him. And I do love him. But what I also realized by us doing this session, I did the session on Wednesday. When I say us, I mean I did it for a TikTok live. But what I realized through doing that is that's not enough. Like, I want to be in a relationship with someone who wants to be in a relationship with me. Yes, he's a nice man. Yes, he's safe. Yes, he's kind, and we're really, really good friends. But I want a relationship. And I've never had a healthy one before. And what I've been doing is like waiting for this person. Like, you know what? There's going to be a point where he's going to be ready and he's such a good person. He's going to do his healing. And then we're going to have this beautiful romance and this beautiful love story. That could happen. But will it? Not sure. But I feel like a lot of times we're focusing on someone's potential. And it's not our choice whether or not they step into that potential or not. This person has the potential to be the most incredible partner to someone. He is a very good provider, very good protector. He's always very protective of his family. But will he ever heal those wounds that make him want to guard his heart and never fall in love? I don't know that. And I feel like for the first time I'm ready to say, and I'm not going to wait for it. Which is taking us into part 2 of this series of connecting to the inner masculine and inner feminine and forming a relationship with our sensuality and our sexuality, which is us being open to receive and give fully and freely. Now, I would assume that most people listening to my videos are overgivers. We give and we give and we give and we give. some people never give, and it's time for them to start. But you know what? Like I said, I'm feeling more drawn to make videos just from my own perspective, and people that resonate will resonate. If we're giving everything in a relationship and never receiving, that's not healthy. And that's not healthy because, like I said in part one, we are forming a relationship with the inner child. We need to, first of all, above everything else, make sure that we are happy. That we are happy and safe and provided for and loved. And our job, first of all, is to do it for ourselves. We have to do it for ourselves. Otherwise, we have this rocky foundation and everything we build is going to crumble at some point. We can't have a great relationship with someone else if we don't have a great relationship with ourselves. And as I say that, that's the exact reason why this person would not be a good partner for me until he does a shit ton of healing, because he doesn't have a good relationship with himself. He tortures himself many ways, in many ways, and the biggest one is working himself to death every single day for days on end. That is not healthy. That is not healthy. So what I'm starting to see now is I want to make myself my number one priority, and I want to be with someone who also does that. Because if he puts me first or work first, he's not building on a healthy foundation. And at some point, everything's going to crumble. I feel like what people are talking about, this new earth and, you know, these new levels of consciousness and what we're moving into right now, is very powerful. And I believe it's very truthful and very real. And what it seems to me to be is there's no more fucking second chances. Like, what do I mean by that? Like, it's time to do our work. And if we don't, it's like there's this instant karma. Like, okay, well, you don't want to take care of yourself? Well, you know what? Then you're going to get sick. You don't want to be, you don't want to take care of yourself, and then you're going to get into these relationships. Well, you know what? They're going to end up cheating on you or leaving or hurting you. Like, it's like, I pray every day to be able to see clearly what is best for myself and my children and humanity. And by me being in these relationships that are not healthy, that's not good for me, it's not good for my kids, and that's not good for humanity. Because if I'm going to be the person that's going to help people love themselves, and I'm still stuck in these relationships with people that don't love themselves, well, I'm not good to anybody, and then I'm not going to get a following or clients or a platform or book deals, because I'm really not doing the fucking work that needs to be done in order to inspire people and help people lift themselves out of their own struggles. So, with that, you know, if you haven't done part one yet, make sure you do part one, because part one is the important one. But what we're talking about today is the relationship with the masculine and the feminine. And the way I see this, because I'm a woman, so I'm always talking to women, I don't understand men, and I'm not going to try to pretend that I know them well enough to do a workshop to help men love women. I'm not that person yet. Maybe someday I will be. But right now, what I'm really focused on is speaking to women. And what we want to do is imagine the divine feminine. And the divine feminine is loving and kind and sweet and giving and nurturing and very, very intuitive. She follows her heart. She listens to the divine. That is how the divine feminine lives. And I feel like I step into it and then get pulled out of it, but I'm certainly noticing more and more that I am aligned more with the divine feminine part of myself. But it's very important to also imagine the divine masculine. And when we imagine the divine masculine, we get to see him as someone taking care of himself, loving his life, putting himself first, being strong, not being in this victim mentality, or also this, I don't know what I would call this, but people that beat themselves up. That's not what the divine feminine wants. And here's a big part of this. And I'm speaking just to myself as much as I am to anybody else, because I do this. It's not our job to save them. It's not our job to fix them. That is what happens when we're loving people. And this is what I actually recognized the other day, is I used to hate everybody. I fucking hated everybody on the planet. Men, women, I just hated people. And then I started doing energy medicine in 2007. And what I started to recognize was when I would work with people, like as a practitioner, when people would come into my clinic and I would put my hand on their heart, I would just fucking fall in love with them. And I mean, I'm telling you, I had some very toxic people show up in my clinic, people that had committed crimes, and they had done some not nice things. And I still felt love for them because I was able to tune into their inner child, that loving part of them. I truly believe that every single person on the planet was born a baby, an innocent child, and they learn about love and safety from their environment. And that's what is causing everybody to do what they're doing, is because they don't know how to heal it. And so they're reacting from it as opposed to sitting with it and listening to it and holding it and healing it. So I have this, what I developed through my years as a practitioner is this beautiful way of just loving people. And even with my ex-husband, I still sit and connect to his inner child because that is how I can find love for him. And not hate him or blame him, right? So it was a beautiful thing that I developed. And I did it for years. And I still do it, though that's the problem. That is the problem, is that I trained myself to see the beauty in people, but what I didn't realize was that we also have to be street smart. And I don't know if street smart is the right way to say it, but we also have to be conscious and aware of, yes, this person has the potential. They were beautiful humans at one point, but we also have to look at people's behaviors and see that and make decisions from that place. And that is what I'm not good at. I am not good at that. I am good at loving everybody. I see homeless people. I love them. I feel compassion for them. I haven't done it in a while, but for a while, I would go up, I would hug them, I would give them money, even though I didn't have any money at all when I was sick. And I'm not saying I regret doing it, but it seems like things have changed. Things are maybe not as safe as they used to be, I guess I'll say. But for me as a mom, to be walking up to people on the street that I don't know what they've done, I don't know what drugs they're on, and I'm not trying to tell people to be afraid of people now, but I feel like there's a healthy dose of fear. And that's the interesting thing about this work is a lot of people talk about love and joy and abundance and freedom, but they're not talking about the truth, where we actually need to be afraid sometimes. Just like I needed to learn how to be afraid of bears when I was going hiking. I needed to learn how to be afraid of, kayaking just way out in the middle of nowhere because storms happen. I had to learn those things. Fear is not a bad thing, but no, I'm just going to say that again. Fear is not a bad thing. It's just that when we get stuck in fear and we're judging everything from fear, we don't want that either. We want to have a healthy balance. We want to have a healthy balance. And what this particular part of the workshop, the masculine and feminine, is about, is finding the balance between being open to receive and also giving. I'm just going to see how much time I've been talking. So also with that is we want to be able to trust. We want to trust ourselves. We want to trust others. We want to trust the divine. But what I found was I was over trusting. I was either not trusting anybody or over trusting, where I was trusting the wrong people. But what it actually was this addiction to rejection and abuse and whatever it was that I held. So what I want to do now is really connect to the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and really begin to embrace and embody those parts of us, so that we can start to really embody the divine feminine, so we know how we want to feel in relationships and through life, and to embody the divine masculine, or embody the divine feminine being held by the divine masculine, because we want to start to embrace and embody how we want to feel with a partner. It's beautiful to see that men are broken. It's beautiful to love them even though they're broken. Wonderful thing. Do we need to date them and save them and fix them? I'm still in this place of that's what I want to do for people, but unless they're paying me, it's not my fucking job. And that's a hard one, but it's true. If there's someone in your life that needs to be fixed and saved and helped, they need to get their own fucking help. You can help them, but you don't have to date them or marry them. Because remember when we used to take life-saving classes, and they always said, if there's a 3-year-old drowning, do not approach that child, because the adrenaline is rushing so strongly that they will literally pull a strong fireman under the water. That's how strong a drowning child is. So you throw them, whatever safety devices that you can to save that child. But if you swim out to them, they'll pull you under and drown you. I guess, and I'm saying this because it makes me sad. It makes me sad to know that this person is not somebody that that is healthy for me. But I am saying this, like, I feel like God is speaking through me saying, do not try to save a drowning man. You let him drown first and decide if he's going to save himself. And it's time to set ourselves free from the drowning men. And that's why this is so important, to really tune into what the divine masculine feels like, so that we can start to recognize those people and actually heal those parts of us that want to save the drowning man and want to date them even though they give us nothing. And it's not in judgment. They can't give us anything when they're fucking struggling. They're struggling to survive. So we're getting nothing. That is not healthy. Would you want your daughter to be in the relationship that you're in? Would you be like, yeah, go date that guy that never takes you on dates, doesn't care if he sees you, doesn't commit to you, but he does want to see you, but only when he wants to see you. Like, would you do that to your daughter? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't want your daughter to date somebody saying, yeah, but you know what, someday he might want me. But we do it. I'm doing it. And this is me deciding not to do it. So anyway, I invite you to put your hand on your heart. Take some nice full deep breaths. And be here in this moment. And when we're here in this moment, we're out of the space. We get into the space between our thoughts. Our thoughts are pulling us, and our thoughts are coming from these core wounds, these stories that we told ourselves as we were growing up, that we're not good enough, nobody's going to love us, that we're pitiful, that we're failures, whatever it is. Those are the stories that we tell ourselves, and that's where our thoughts are coming from. Our thoughts are pulling us to the past, where we're regretting and resenting, to the future, where we're worrying and we're wanting, to the world where we're distracted and divided, to others where we're blaming and pleasing and saving and needing. Or we can choose to be here in this moment, in the space between all of it, where love lives, where peace flows, where joy dances, where truth speaks. So anytime you feel pulled by your thoughts, bring yourself back here. And when you bring yourself here, you're going to start to feel some pain. Pay attention inward now. It's telling you what it wants you to heal. Your inner child is saying, I am sad, I'm lonely, I'm afraid. Listen to them. That is the first step always. And I didn't realize that until I just said it. Let that be your first step, to sit with that inner child and make sure they're okay. They want to be held, they want to be encouraged, they want to be accepted, they want to be loved. Do they want to play more? Do they want to rest more? Listen. Listen, and then do what they're asking you to do. And then move into the space where you align with the divine feminine. So first, imagine yourself in nature, whether you can go outside in nature and really be held in this space, or imagine it. Do that now. Because nature is going to pull you into your body. When you're in your body, you are in the moment, and that means you are no longer being pulled by all of these thoughts. You can't think and use your senses or engage with your senses at the same time. So you thinking is pulling you out of your body into some kind of fear. It's love or it's fear. There's love in the moment, there's fear out here. So when you're thinking, you're pulling yourself away from the love and the joy and the peace and the truth. When you are embodying this moment through your senses, like I said, you're in your body and you are engaged with love and joy and peace and truth. So you smell, you taste, you feel, you do all of those things to pull yourself into your body, so you're no longer, believing these thoughts that are not true, that are just making you believe those stories more and more. We're here to heal, and you heal in the moment. So with all of that, once again, imagine yourself in nature, or, go into nature and just feel every step that you're taking on the ground. And notice, are you walking on the sand? Are you walking on the grass? Just feel every step. And look around you and see what you're seeing in nature. Notice the sky. Is there water nearby? Are there trees? And listen to the birds and the leaves and the water and the trees. Smell the fresh air. Inhale this beautiful air through every breath, right into your lungs. And as you're walking through your nature scene, imagine this most beautiful woman in front of you. Once again, I'm speaking to women, working with you women right now. I am not here to try to, align men with their divine. So imagine the most beautiful divine feminine in front of you. And just see how soft her face is. Notice that there's this little smile on her face at all times, where she's excited about life. And just notice how present she is, and how playful and happy she is. And notice that she's not noticing anyone else. She's just here doing what she's doing. And just get this sense of how happy she is. And she's happy because she takes care of her inner child every day. She rests when she needs to rest. She plays when she needs to play. She moves when she needs to move. She feels her emotions. She listens to her thoughts. She moves her body. She loves her body. She loves life. Feel yourself merging with this divine feminine so you become her. And feel how that feels to be happy and abundant and free. Feel how it feels to be playful and well rested. Feel how it feels to be excited about life. Feel how it feels to be healthy. And as you're merged in the body of this beautiful, the body, the mind, the heart, the soul of this beautiful divine feminine, imagine the divine masculine walking up to her, and notice how this man appears. Just see how strong he is. And not necessarily physically. I mean, yes, you want him strong physically, but he's also strong emotionally and mentally, but not rigid. Notice the difference between the emotional, mental strength without rigidity, meaning open-minded, open-hearted. And see how he looks at the divine feminine. How he's just so taken by her. And feel that divine masculine holding you as the divine feminine. and feel how safe it feels to be in his arms. Feel how safe it feels to be in his arms, but feel how beautiful it is to know that his problems are not your problems, and your problems are not his. That you are not here to fix one another. You're not here to save one another, yet being together is what will heal you, because that is a divine counterpart. This is someone chosen by the divine for you, for them. You are chosen for them. But it's not your job to fix or save. It's your job to rest together and play together and be excited about life together, to be adventurous together, to plan together, to dream together, to be in the moment together. Allow that inner knowing to move itself. Allow this energy of, strength, but open-mindedness, open-heartedness, love and compassion, and, being provided for, being protected by, not meaning he's providing and giving you all his money, but providing love and encouragement and acceptance and love. I think I said love already. But feel how that feels. Feel the freedom it offers you to be with a divine counterpart as opposed to someone who's broken. Feel how this divine feminine, you as the divine feminine, would be able to step into a new role where your job is to inspire people how to love life and love others and be loved when you step into that. See how you being in relationships with men who are broken, where you're trying to save them and please them and whatever it is, or blame them, when you're in those relationships, it's taking all of your energy, which means your energy is not being pushed out, or it's not being, consumed by yourself, which is number one, but it's also not because you're not filling yourself, you're filling them. So when you're not filling yourself, they're getting what you don't even have. And when they're not filling themselves, you're not getting anything from them. So you're both pouring from an empty cup. When your job is to fill yourself, pour into yourself, and what's overflowing would go out to others, including this person. But if you're not pouring into yourself first, and a good hint is if they're not pouring into you, you're not pouring into yourself, because their energy is going to match yours. And if their energy is that of rejection, or it's not clear, or there might be games or chaos, that is matching your energy, meaning you're not aligned with your divine inner child, you're not aligned with the divine feminine. And that is your job. That is your job now. Whoops, I need to move this here. Your job is to fill yourself up. And